Hello friend, on this Monday fireside chat, I am Pat Sloan and we are here for our Jumpin' June challenges. So we're gonna talk about challenges today and just everything that's going on. Fireside chat is a little bit longer chat in the evening on Monday night, so a different group of friends can come and hang out during the premiere, which is usually about 20 minutes prior to when the video runs. You can get in the chat area and say hi and visit. It's a lot of fun. It's super fun. I jump in there too. I have to finish eating my food fast on Monday nights because I eat late. Okay, what do we got? Houston, we have a problem. Yes, problems with free motion quilting. Now I am immensely excited about the work that you guys are doing. You have done incredible for the last, what are we on? We're on the last 7 days. This is day 8. Today also, day 8. You have been doing 8 days of free motion quilting if you're playing along. And a lot of you have been showing your work, and it's just incredible. You're doing such a great job. And you know, there's questions and things happen. So I thought I'd do a little Q&A. We do have a post. We, the royal we, all of us, in my group at Facebook, put along with Pat Sloan, there is a post which I'll link directly below. Is Ask Debbie, Ask Pat. So, and you can answer the questions if you know, whoever pops in there. You know, people, we're trying to answer questions as we see them, and you are all amazing in helping each other. So, you probably had some questions. A few things that came up were, you know, the technical things. There's technical things that happen, like your thread's breaking. So the things you try is to, I've got notes, slow down, loosen your tension, get a bigger eye needle, be sure everything's cleaned, be sure your thread in the top and the bobbin are the same. If you have a different brand of thread, you might try changing the brand of thread, because sometimes the machine, you know, doesn't like one thread or another, or it's just not working that day. And occasionally you just have to walk away and come back, and it's amazing. Sometimes when you come back, everything works. And a lot of it is how we approach it, so that if you are maybe tired or maybe tense or anxious, you know, that can result in maybe your process of quilting, free motion quilting. You might be pulling a bit harder, and so all of those things can cause an issue. So breathe and just, you know, take another little step back and take a look at it. Eyelashes on the back. I have a sample of, I had a little bit of a sample of one of those. Eyelashes on the back are when you go around a curve and it makes those little loops. I'm not seeing one on here. I thought I had a sample, but I can't find it. Sorry. But it does make like a little loop. And so for eyelashes, you want to slow it down. Use, you know, maybe you might have to adjust your tension some. You know, try it one direction, try it the other, and just do samples. You know, just do loops. Also, just try making bigger loops first. Bigger loops, and then go into the smaller loops. And it can all be overcome. It's just taking the time to figure it out. And I think a lot of people like go in really narrow, and you try to make small things first. Just try to open everything up, make it a little bit bigger. Okay, let's see. If you're still having a lot of problems and, you know, things aren't really working at all, you might need to have your machine looked at. That's always a good thing to do, just to rule out that there's, you know, something there. And I suggest also, and I know right now that can be difficult because not every shop is open yet that has, you know, for service. Not every community is as mobile as some. Like my community is still very locked down here in Virginia because we are highly densely populated. So we still have a lot of COVID cases, and so we don't have a lot of things open, but some of you do. So if you can go and get it serviced, test, show the person who's going to look at it what you're doing. Sit down at the machine and tell them, you know, show them what happens. Take your sample with you, show it. Because a lot of people will just like drop it off at the door and just say it doesn't work. well, that gives you nothing to go on. Okay, so that's my thought on there. I like this other question because we'll do one more question for this, then we'll talk about some other things. So this question is, where do you decide to start and stop on a panel or any kind, on a quilt, whatever? That is a super good question, because one of the things is when you have a smaller piece, especially if you've spray basted it, it's pretty stable. You're not having a lot of shifting. So I only have my finished one at the moment here today. Let me get my notes out of the way. So for this quilt, because it's small and it's also been stabilized, like I did around the rectangle, I could go in there and really start anywhere I wanted to. And I decided to start by sort of outlining the bigger shapes. There's the butterfly. I'll put it down like a little bit more. There we go. So I had started by outlining the butterflies and then filling in the background. But I could change and move if I wanted to. I could go up and do this guy, or I could come back and work in this corner. I don't have to be limited. Now, if you were doing something, let's look at the rainbow. By the way, the rainbow quilt with my border on it, ta-da! That's the border I decided on. I got that stripe, which is kind of a sherbety color, a little heavy on the pink. But I think it's cool. Did an inside border, then that border, then the outside border. So if I was going to quilt this one, which I will, I will do like a grid. So I will do some sort of a grid like this, just to lock in sort of a group of half square triangles. Maybe like go 4, 4, whatever the number is across, and then 4, 4, horizontal, so that those blocks are stabilized. Even though I'm going to spray base it, that'll still stabilize that grid. And then once I'm in there, I can do whatever I want in the grid, because it's not going to shift any. The big thing about like larger quilts is a lot of, you'll read, and it is a good thing to try, a good practice, is to start at the middle, quilt the middle, and then work out towards the sides. One of the things it does two things. And the most important for me, if you quilt the middle first, is that it's done. If you have like a large quilt, you're trying to fit it into the opening in your machine, there is a lot of bulk. You have stuff falling off the table, you have bulk you're trying to fit in here. If you do the middle, your bulkiest, most cumbersome part is then done. And then from there, you can go to the easier, it gets easier when you're out on the outer edge. You don't have to have so much pulled inside. That is why I like to do the middle first. The other reason is sometimes you can't do that grid work. You don't have a quilt that really has structure like that. Maybe it's an applique quilt. There's just a lot of applique. But still, if you're in the center and then moving out, if you've got little poofs in your fabric, it didn't get, maybe you didn't spray base, maybe you pin based, and you're moving along, and all of a sudden you sort of see this mountain starting where it is not flat. If you go from the center out, you can push all that towards the outside, so you could make it go. Now, it might make your quilt out of shape. That's a whole nother thing to talk about, but at least you have a little maneuvering room, rather than locking in a corner and then finding out you weren't real square or weren't real flat. So I hope that makes sense. Hope that's a good question. So start how it works for you. But if it's bigger, like on the panels, it won't matter so much. But if it's bigger, start with your metal. That's always a good plan. Okay, let's look at this, because I want to talk about maneuvering through a design a little bit here. Let's come down, because when I did these butterflies, butterfly, okay, I need to get like a pointery thing. Let me get something to point with. Maybe I'll just try the scissors. Okay, let's come in a little closer here. Alrighty. So what I did is on these butterfly wings, I used, it's actually a very dark navy. It's not black, even though the butterfly wings are black. But I went mostly in the black areas. So I have stitched like up here. I'm just going to show you because you're probably hard to see it. I've stitched up here. So let me just show you how I approached it. Not exactly, but close. Okay, so I did stitched up here, and then I want to go like this, and I came back. So I'm doing backtracking, and I up around, then I went around this area. I might have come back and come over here, and then I want to split these two so you see that curve. But what happened right here is you can see this. See that line? So I didn't stay right on there. Now that might drive somebody crazy. It doesn't drive me crazy, but if it did, I'd pick it out. But I did not stay on the white at that exact spot. So I wanted to point that out to you, that if something like this were to bother you, then just unpick it and tie a knot and start again. So let me pull back. So pretty much what I did is I tried to stay in the black area of the wing and go around things so that I give it some structure. Come up, come around here, come back, come through here. And it's like a pathway. You can go back over yourself and then go over into the other wing. So everything is done really, it's not really visual. I didn't want to do black on the white. And this is done more like thread painting, just sort of like back and forth where you need to be. So I'm going to show you on the aqua butterfly, because that is really very similar to thread painting, what I did. All right. So here on this guy's body, all I did was the aqua. So I'm hoping you can see that. Gonna get a glare maybe. So I came in and just stayed, whoops, down here. Get back a little bit. So I came in and just stayed on the aqua like this, back and forth, and just worked my way around this, then up into the other one, then onto the other side. So that was the whole process, back like that. Now there's one place, did I leave it? Yes, here it is. I want to show you this. I left it so I could show you what I did. Okay, hoping that you can see this. There's no glare. That gold is making a bit of a glare. This is actually peach. My colors are not coming in that good. Okay, so across here, can you see my finger? Sorry, there we go. My finger is under the thread. So what I did is I sewed down here, and then I locked the stitches in place, then I took the needle up and moved over and came down again and locked the stitches in place, and then I sewed around here and over here, and then locked in place, took the needle up, took my thread, which is under here, whoops, you can see it here, and then jumped over to there. So I'm not sure how well you could see that. The glare is a bit much on this guy, but now I need to just trim those. So that is the next thing to do on this piece. And then let me show you the rainbow at the top, or whatever it is. I keep calling it a rainbow. So on this piece, or this part of the quilt, I just did hoops. I decided to just do the hoops, and I did not quilt in the gold. I left that. So I just did hoops. And so this guy, let's pull on back. This guy is done. I'm waiting for the binding. I'm using the same fabric as the inner border, which I did not have enough of, so I've ordered it and it'll be coming. Those of you who wanted to see the backing, this fabric really hid pretty much everything that I did. Even the peach color thread, you can barely see it. So that is, that's the butterfly. So once I get the binding done, I'll show you again. All right, there's a couple other fun things to think about. Let's see. I have got to decide what I'm going to do next. Like yesterday, that was your decision. And I think what I'm going to do is for this coming week is I'm going to go ahead, I don't know that I'll have it for tomorrow because I have some other things I have to get done. So probably for Wednesday, I will start for like 2 days. I'm going to, work on the Eiffel Tower because I actually have to find some sort of border. I want to put a little border on it, and I'll work on the Eiffel Tower. And then I will, after that, spend a couple of days doing a bit on walking foot quilting. And that I will get out my grandma's kitchen, the one last section that needed to be done. Oh goodness, I'll get that out. So that is my plan. I do want to get this basted, so I'll be working on that too. Yeah, so get all those good things. Now, coming up, we have, and I have other questions I'm going to answer a little bit. I have a few other questions, and then our goodie bag, the winner name. So we have those things. I got a really nice little gift, and it came from Latvia. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's see, I guess it's pronounced bode, but this is a vintage wheel, like a tracing wheel for clothing. And I know I was talking about this somewhere, and I thought, I used to have one, and maybe somebody put it in our group, like, what is this? Or, remember having these? So what a sweet gift. Thank you. Mwah. Thank you so much. It is just so cool. Now I need to make some clothing. I've not made clothing in a long time, but I might have to make some. Okay, we've got our Christmas in July, the jolly snowflake, jelly flake, something like that was called. It's a mystery, and I am using this fabric line. And the jelly roll, you can download all the stuff that's going on. I'll put a link to the website today. It's Monday, so I have a website up for Mondays. But go take a look at all the things that are going to be coming up. And one is working with the jelly roll. It won't use the whole jelly roll, so if you can make two of them, one with one part and one with the other part. You could actually make two mysteries with these. That's a hint. But that's the one I'm using, which is called, what did I say it was called? Jolly Season. It's so cute. Super, super cute. And I intend this week to make at least one of the blocks from the morning coffees. Good morning mugs. There is also, it's linked down there, but there is also a single pattern, not this exact mug, and it's a little wall hanging, but there's another mug pattern that's cute. So if you only want to buy a pattern and so long, you don't want the little kit. But I think it's darling. And I want to make it, it's using a charm pack, so I can't wait to make it. So here's what it looks like. And so cute. It's got a little rick-rack trim in it, and it comes in this darling little box. I'm going to make a block so you'll see how cute it is. And we're doing that in July, later in July. So, because orders still take a little while to come. A lot of places still don't have don't have staffing back to anywhere near normal yet. So be aware of that. And I think I mentioned this recently, and I finally got some, is that I wanted the bigger Wonder Clips. I have the little the regular, I actually have mini Wonder Clips too, but I have these, the regular size ones. I use the pin bowl here by my sewing machine so I can just toss the pins in, and I clip all the little these are regular size Wonder Clips, but I wanted some of the big ones. So let's take a look, because I wanted to see what they're like, what the difference is, because occasionally I'm actually clipping a lot of fabric together, and those small ones are just not big enough. I can't clip it all. Ooh, these are big babies. Look at that. Look at that. I can probably almost put that over my finger. Whoops. Okay, so here is the mama and the baby. They're actually There's actually tinier ones than this is a regular size. So these are quite a bit bigger. That will be great, because when I was doing a big group of things, I couldn't shove them in this little one. It was just too small. So we'll have to put these in a container, or it's actually a Ziploc bag here. It's got a nice bottom on it, so it actually can stay in there and sit. Love these Wonder Clips. All right, so I'm really happy to have those. So when I'm doing like a big project, and I don't want things to get sort of, I want to keep them in order, like particularly if I got stuff on the wall and I need to take it down. I only have this one design wall, so if I take things down, these will be fabulous to keep that whole grouping of everything together. Together. Oh, somebody asked me to show the mug again. I have not washed it yet. What is wrong with me? It's been sitting in my lovely rolling assistant, and I have not washed the mug so I can use it. What is wrong with me? Okay, I'm going to do that now. Now that I've shown it to you here tonight, I'm going to go take it and put it in the kitchen. So here it is. Isn't that cute? Happy Quilter. I got the red one, of course. What's it say? Do what you love what you do. On the back. It is great. It's nice and hefty, and it's a flat bottom. I love flat bottoms so that I don't tip them over. Yeah. So I'm leaving that out. That way I can do what I need to do. So what is the challenge part of today? I didn't really say, did I? The challenge part is to give me a status here at YouTube, over at Facebook, of what's gone well with the last 7 days of your free motion quilting. What questions do you still have? And so that would be good to know, so we can kind of work on those things. And you're still supposed to do 10 minutes a day, you know. So I have a couple questions people asked that were not quilting, so I thought they would be kind of fun to answer. So Vanda asked, how do I get so many quilt projects completed? And she goes, I understand you're a business, but you know, how does that work? Do I keep studio hours? Does Greg prepare the meals? You know, do I have an errands run by an assistant? No, I don't have that. So, okay. So, you know, being a business, I do work entirely differently than you would work. And I think that sometimes is a little, you know, it's a little hard to imagine. But just think, like, if you're going into your office to work and you're there 8 hours a day, and you have to deadlines, and you have things you have to produce, and you might have to do overtime in order to meet your deadlines. I mean, you know, all of that is like, you know, beyond, like, right? You don't really care about that stuff for your fun. But for me, my business is my, you know, also my hobby. So that means I do all those things as part of what Pat Sloan is. But, you know, how do I do it? It's like, well, I'm very structured. I do have somebody help with some of the sewing. And of course, you know, I work a lot. You probably wouldn't want to work as many hours as I work. But it's okay. I like doing that. Probably what is a better discussion to have, I think, is not how I do it, because no matter if you followed me around and did the exact same things Greg and I did, you would have a different outcome. Your outcome would never look like mine, because you're a different person. So I think what a better conversation to have to help people, because really what I think the question is how do you get more done? Not how do I get more done, but you yourselves, you as a hobbyist, you know, someone who's doing your quilting for fun, you would like to do more quilting for fun. You know, maybe you feel like, oh, you don't get to quilt enough, or you know, you have deadlines but you don't actually meet them. You know, because maybe they're not really strict deadlines. So you don't have, you know, 180,000 people waiting for you to give them an answer on something or give them a pattern. So, you know, your deadlines are a little flexible, more than mine. So I think it's a great conversation, like how you work, your work style, your work habits are something you can figure out, but only you can do it. So I have told many people this, and a lot of them don't really want to do this, but if you're super motivated to understand your work cycle, you need to track it. That means every single day you pretty much track in like 15-minute increments or 30-minute increments what you did. So, and you do it for maybe 5 days, if that's all you can stand. If you can do it longer, it's better. That's because you get a better picture of what you do. Like, how long do you go work in your garden? How long do you watch TV? How much time might you spend on the phone with somebody? How often do you actually walk into your sewing space and do some sewing? And why haven't you done more of it? How much time do you spend cooking a week? How much time do you spend on your household things? When you do an errand, do you need to can you bank up all your errands so that you do a bunch of them at once rather than one this day, one that day, one this, like it's all scattered all over. There's ways I'm a very structured person, and very logical. So I always think of all the ways to make everything go from A to B to C really quickly. But that would be the first thing you do, is go ahead and figure that all out. It's not fun, but it's very fascinating to figure out. You might find out you spend 2 hours a day watching TV, and like, well, could you be sewing instead? But maybe you want to watch the TV, so then maybe you don't do 2 hours. Maybe you give up something else so that you can still get your sewing in. That's the kind of thing you look at. So hope that wasn't too boring. Okay. Here's the last question. Then we're gonna pick our goodie bag person. So there was a question from one of our friends on the Quilt Along with Pat Sloan group, and I thought this was an interesting question. Was, when you make a quilt for the bed, does it fit like a bedspread? I thought that's a fascinating question, because a lot of people's bedspreads actually go all the way to the ground. That's like, I think, a traditional bedspread, to the top all the way to the ground. Whereas a lot of people, when they make a quilt, you don't make it all the way to the ground. They might have a 10-inch drop, which is kind of a standard, but you might want it longer than that. I often do. I often like a 12-inch drop meaning here's the top of the bed and the sides are the drop. And when you see patterns, you might read a 10-inch drop, a 12-inch drop, and often that's for the border, what size you're doing your border. And then if you have a tall bed, a low bed, do you pull the covers over a lot? Are you actually sleeping with it, or is it just decorative and you're taking it off? But I always make it so that it drapes over, and then I have a bed skirt, to cover up like the stuff underneath. And then the quilt drapes over that. But I always make them so they're big enough to be that. There's nothing else. That's what I use. So I would say I would use mine like it's a bedspread. There you go. I don't know. What do you do? Do you just lay it on top? Do you like to make them big? I want them to be like a bedspread. Okay, let's get this name. Here was our fun package of goodies. And the question we had, which was a fun question, is where did you meet your quilting friends? There was all kinds of things, from church to at the grocery store talking, to their children's groups, to some of you don't have quilting friends yet locally to you, so we need to have that discussion again about how you build your own quilting friends. That would be having a meeting and teaching them. So anyways, I went through, and the random number picker selected Jane M-Y-H-R-E, Jane Meyer, is that how you pronounce that? She says her first quilty friends were her mom and her sister, but now she has a group of 11 women, and they meet at her cabin and her sister's cabin next door in September for a quilt retreat. And she loves them all. I think that's awesome. So Jane, I will email you. And we'll take a break, and the following week we will do another goodie bag. I didn't have time to collect one up, so I will do that the following week, and we'll do it for 2 weeks again, so it's a lot of fun, gets more people involved. Okay, Monday night fireside chat. I love this. I love when we talk a little bit longer. If there's things that you need to know, about the free motion quilting, this is the day to leave me some notes, and I'll try to pick up on those and and address them. If you do it in the Facebook group, somebody will answer you. There's always somebody there who will answer, and that will be good. So, okay. Thank you again for using all of my links. They help our small family business. You are amazing. I love you, and have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your evening or day if you're watching this later. Mwah. I love you. Bye-bye.